Okay. Good evening, everyone. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Okay. Okay. So can I? Okay. Good evening. Okay. Yeah. I think I'm audible. I think you guys can see my screen. Okay. So welcome to today's class. I welcome everyone to today's class. How's been your day? How's been SQL for data analysis? How's the journey been? Right. We continue. So we are here again to continue, right? And then before we start, right, I would like to pass this information across, right? So I'm really sorry for those I could not solve their problem, right? You guys, I think on this group, you guys are thousands, right? So there's no way, at least I can't solve everyone's problem and I can't pick everyone's call. I can't, right? But at least I try my best to attend to those, right? And even currently now, some people are still on my DM trying to get in touch with me, right? So I'm really sorry if I've not attended to your problem. If I've not been able to attend to you, I'm really sorry. And I'm also glad uh for those that I was able to attend to, right? At least I was able to attend to a good number of people on this course, right? So I'm also happy that at least I give that kudos to myself for people because I have to sacrifice my official works to attend to you guys, right? And I'm also glad that some of you guys have gone ahead of me, right? The kind feedback some people called me to tell me what they have done, right? I'm glad, I'm happy that you guys are follow, right? You guys are following me. I'm glad. Some people have even gone ahead. Some, at least as one of you guys that reached out to me that what she showed me what she did, and I was glad, right? And at the same time, I believe we need to, I want to bring this to you guys in order to help ourselves, right? You guys are thousands on this call, like I said, so there's no way I can attend to some of your challenge, whether installation challenge, whether query challenge, right? But and I believe that on this call, there are some of you guys that are very, very good. I can see it. Like people that reach out to me, you guys, some of you guys are very, very good. Those that have gone ahead of the class, that have done a lot. And I want to know that we are learning at a different pace, right? You know, our rate of assimilation is not the same thing. It's not the same, right? It's not the same. Some people can catch up at a go, while some people they have to watch the video, they have to practice and practice before they can understand, right? So I would like to suggest that for those of you that are very, very good, that you can catch up, that you have gone ahead of me, I want you guys to signify on the group. You guys can create a group of maybe 10, 15. Let's say maximum of 15. Then appoint a lead that you know that is very good, that can assist me to solve problem, because most of the problem that you guys reach out to me to solve, right? A lot of people, a lot of you guys on this call have solved those problems by yourself without even reaching out to me, right? So, and I want you guys to. I can't hear you properly. Can anyone hear me? Can you guys hear me? Some people say they cannot hear me. Can you guys hear me? Okay, okay. So if you can't hear me, maybe your network, right? So because I need to pass this information before we start, right? So I want you guys to create that group, right? Group of 5 or 10 or max of 15. Try to help each other. If you know that you know how to use SQL, at least with what we have done now, if you know that you can use SQL very well, right? Please reach out to people that have a problem, that have a query problem. Reach out to them, assist them. I know some people, you guys have some of them on this group. Please reach out to them, help them, and by doing so, you are also learning, right? Because the more problem you are able to solve, the more you know, right? The more query problem you are able to solve, the more you know, right? Please, I need that help. Like, I need that help. Please, you guys need to assist me because it's very tedious for me to attend to every one of you. It's very, very tedious for me. Please, I'm begging. I'm begging, right? I'm begging. Okay. So, right. So I actually get some feedback after Tuesday's class, right? Some people said I copied the code. People said, right. To be honest with you, all the code for this class, I can't write it during the class, right? Because writing some of them during the class, we won't do anything, right? We will write some, we will copy, we will bring in some. Let's guys. So I want you guys to know that we will write some and we'll bring some, right? Because that we've not even written any code. By the time we write like 5 lines of codes, you guys will know. So I think so. I just want to make you guys clear to that, right? And I want you guys to pay attention, right? So let's start, right? So before we start, we're going to do a recap of our last class to just refresh our memory, right? So the last class, I saved the code which I've sent to you guys. I saved the code which I've sent to you. So after today's class, I'm going to show you how you can save your code on your system. How your code can be saved on your system. I'm going to show you. Then, but before that, our last class code, I save it, then I'm going to bring it up, right? So let's say, for example, now you have saved your code already, then you want to bring it up, right? You just go to the file, go to open, then go to the file. So it will take you to your file explorer on your system. Then there's a default SQL Server Management folder that has been created, right? That has been created. Once you save it, SQL Server will create that default for you. Now, so this is the code here. This is the code. I save it with liter_db query, right? So I click on it and open it. So this is our last class code, right? So this is it. So I'm going to run through them, then we can continue from there. So the first thing we did in our first class, right, is what we did was created database. That is the first thing we will do. We create database, right? So and we wrote this query in line 1, create database. Then after that line 1 code has been executed successfully, right? The next thing you do is to create table. And moreover, if you open your studio, I explained to you, you always see that this place, the default database there is master. That's the default database is master. So what you need to do is that the particular database you want to work with, make sure you set it to that database. So for example, now, like my own, I have a lot of database I've created, but in your own case, you should have only one database. You should have only one database in your own case, right? You should have only one database. Now, I would look for the database I've created. So this is the database, liter_db. That's the database I've created. Then I click on it. So I make sure that it is that database that is showing, right? It's that database that is showing. Make sure, because some of you reach out to me that when you create your database, then when you now create your table, some of you didn't see the table. Some guys reach out to me that I didn't see the database. Okay, refresh the database. Even after I refresh the database, they didn't see the table. So meaning, if they go to the master DB, they will see the table there. That means because they didn't change it to database they created. So that's the reason why it will go to master DB. Because if you open this, if you open the system database, that's a default database that comes with your database. If you open this system databases, if you open it, you will see this default 4 database that came with your SQL server when you were installing, right? They are default, automatic, they will come with it, right? Master DB, model DB, MSDB, and TempDB. So the only one that you need to pay attention to for this course is the master DB. The other one is maybe when we get to the advanced SQL, we'll talk about that one. So is this master DB? So this master DB is just like a default default database. Now, if I create a table, right, and I didn't specify the particular database, automatically that table goes to master DB. So please you have to be aware of that. That whenever you create a table and you cannot find your table, go to master DB. You will see the table there. So what you just need to do is just to recreate the table. Recreate the table. That's just what you need to do. Just recreate the table, right? Okay, so I think that's clear to every one of you guys, right? Now, so this is the database, liter_db. Then after that, we created the table called employee table, right? Then we have staff ID. So under the table we created, we have different columns for our table. We have staff ID, we have first name, second name, gender, date of birth, and hire date, right? So I'm going to explain. That's one of you guys that reach out to me for I can't remember the error message, but the moment I saw the error message, I already know where the problem is, right? By the time I want to create the second table, I will show you guys. When you are creating your table, right? And if you look at this staff ID, you can see that's a space, that's a white space between staff and ID. If you run your query like this, it will still create the table for you. But by the time you get to the place where you want to insert, you will find it error. You will encounter what? Error. So that's the reason why that when you are creating a table, it's either you close the space or you put underscore. When you are creating the table, it's either you close the space or you put underscore. I don't know if you guys are following, right? It's either you create a white space between the table name, so between the column name. When there's a space, right, your table, you'll be able to create your table, right? But by the time you want to insert into that table, probably you will encounter an error. So in order for you to avoid that error that is waiting for you, there are a lot of things that you can do. Is either you put underscore like this, or you close the space. You close the space or you put underscore. I don't know if that is clear to you guys. Now, then you can see the line 5 where I have first name. You know, there are different ways to write this. Everything you can see, I put the first F, I put it in the capital letter. Then I put N in also capital letter. There are differences. You can put everything in small letter. So depend on the way you want to write. You can also put everything in excuse me. You can also put everything in capital letter or small letter. Depend on you. Sorry, please, a minute. Excuse me, please. Sorry, please, a minute. Okay, sorry, apologies on that. Right. So now you can see the way I wrote the staff name, the first name, the second name, then gender. You can see the date of birth too. The date of birth, what did I do is that only white spacing. Some people is asking me why spacing. That's what I'm saying. Don't put space. Don't put space, right? Don't put space. It is important. Don't put space. If you put space, you will still be able to create your table, but there is a problem that is waiting for you. So in order to avoid that problem that is waiting for you, don't put space. It's either you put underscore. Put underscore, just like the way you have it in line 8. If you can see the line 8, date of birth, you can see date underscore of underscore birth. So you can see it, right? You can see it. So you can also follow that format. If you see the date, higher date, you can see the higher date, right? Can't we remove the underscore in the date too? You can remove it, right? After I said it, there are depend the way you want to, depend the way you feel, right? But you can remove the underscore while everything will be like this. You see it, right? If you can see my screen, right? You can do it like this. It's still okay. You can also put underscore. Like me now, I'm used to underscore, right? I'm used to underscore, right? Hey, you can put underscore, you can remove the you can remove the underscore, but don't put space. I'm begging. I can put space and I know how I can solve that problem when I move to the insert, right? But for your level for now, don't put space. Please don't put space. Put underscore. If you don't want to join them together, put underscore. I think that's clear, right? That's clear. Now, then after that, line 10, I say primary key, right? So I declare primary key as my what? I declare staff ID as my primary key. Staff ID as my primary key. Then from there, I will executed. After execution, we now execute line 12 where we say select all. From that asterisk, right? That asterisk means I want to see all the columns in the table. That asterisk there is either you call it star or asterisk. It means I want to see all the table. Take for instance now, if I don't want to see all the columns in the table, I just want to see only 2. Maybe I just want to see staff ID. I will now have to specify the columns I want to see, please. Right? How can operate on my SQL and be in this class at the same time? Please, for that one, right? You cannot, if you are operating on your class, you're on the class and so operating on your system. I don't know the way you can do that, right? To be honest, but I will advise you, if you are a type that you learn very slow, right? You are a slow learner. I will advise you to pay attention in the class first. If you are a slow learner, you learn very slow, right? I will advise you to pay attention in the class. Then after the class, you have all the time to run the code, because by that time the code will have been sent to you, right? Then, but if you are a fast learner, you can decide to be listening to the class and also at the same time be practicing. Depend on yourself. Now, so what I said is that, let's say for example, I don't want to return all the columns in the table. I want to return just only 2. Maybe I want to return staff ID and first name. So I have to come and say staff ID, right? Staff ID. Then which other column again I want to see? Let's say first name. Right? So that's just the 2 columns. Now, if I execute this line 12, okay, so I think we dropped the table in our last class, right? So okay, let's insert back. I think we dropped it in the last class. So let me insert back. Right, okay. I think we are good now. So let me now run that. Let me now run that line 12 now. Here you can see. Here you can see. You return staff ID and first name. That's the only column I want to see. Right? So that's just that. So then let's, so I think we are clear now. Can we proceed now? So from our last class, we are fine, right? So let's proceed. Okay, we also talk about drop table, delete from table, and truncate, right? So that's fine. So we are good from the last class. So let's continue, because today we are still writing SQL query 2. So SQL query, writing SQL query, continue. Now, so we want to create second table. We want to create second table. But before we create second table, there's something called identity. Identity in SQL, right? So what identity? Someone is still asking, how can I install SQL Server on my laptop? Ah, wow. Okay, so identity, right? So what identity do in SQL is that, take for instance, when we created the first table, we have staff ID as our primary key. We declare staff ID, right? And staff ID is being inputted manually, right? Staff ID is being inputted manually. But in a situation whereby you want to create a primary key, or you want to create whether a surrogate key, whatever the key you want to create, but you don't want to input it manually, right? Then you can use identity. You can use what? You can use identity. So identity means you are auto increasing the key value, or the let me say primary key. You are auto increasing it, right? So if record 1 is 1, right? Row 1 is 1, then by the time you insert more value, then it goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on like that. That's what identity does for you. You don't want to manually input your primary key. You don't want to manually input it. You want it to be auto-generated. So you use the word identity. You want it to be auto-generated. Then we use the word identity. Excuse me. Now, so let's look at it. So I'm going to create a small table. A small table. So I'll call that table persons table, right? I said create table. I'll call it person. That's the table I want to create, right? Now, the first column name will be person's ID. Person's ID, right? So that will be person's ID. Now, this person's ID, I want it to be integer. That's the data type. I want data type to be what? Integer. So int. Now, I want it to be auto increment, right? Auto increment. So I will use identity. Now, for those of you that is using my SQL, and Postgres, right? Identity will not work for you. Identity will not work for you, right? Especially for MySQL, you have to use auto increment. Please, be aware of that, so that by the time you copy the query to MySQL to go and run it in your MySQL database, it will fail, right? So you have to change identity to auto. Then IV, then increment, right? Please be aware of that so that by the time you are coming to meet me for that, you have a problem. For those of you that are using my SQL, that is using my SQL, right? So identity. Right now, so I'll put that identity. Then I want it to start from 1. I want it to start from 1. Then 1. Okay, sorry, it has to be in brackets. It has to be in brackets. So I want it to start from 1, right? I want it to start from 1. Then I want it to increase by 1. I want to start from 1, then increase by 1. Then I'll put comma 1. Right? I don't know if you guys are following me. Okay, I should come again. Thank you. For those that are following me, please, thank you. Right? So I'll come again. So I want to create a table called person. I want to create a table called person, right? Then the table, I'm going to create that. The table will have 3 columns. 3 columns, person ID, person first name, or person's name, then age. That's 3 columns I want to create. Person's ID, person's name, then age, right? Then the person's ID, right? The person's ID, I want it to be auto increment. Auto increment. I don't want to manually input it, just like the way we did in our last class, right? Just like the way we did in our last class, that you have to write AB212, AB223, AB234, AB2254, AB2. Yeah. So I don't want you guys to go through all those, right? So instead of doing that, you can use identity. So identity is just to auto increment, right? So when you write your column name, which is person's ID, right? Person's ID, then the data type will be integer. Data type will be integer. Then you have to use the syntax word identity, right? The syntax identity. I have to now use that. Then by the time I create the table, I want it to start, that auto increment to start from 1. So that's why I put 1 first. I want it to start from 1, and that is why I put 1 first, right? I want to start from 1. Then increase by what? If you want to increase by 2, meaning you have 1, that's 1 plus 2. The next one will be 3. Then 2 plus 3, 5. So it will now be 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, like that. So depend on you, depend the way you want it. But I just want this one to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. So it's going to be 1, then 1, right? Then I'll put not null, right? Not null. I don't want any blank, right? I don't want any blank, right? Then the next column I want to create is person's name. Person's name, right? Then person's name will be variable character, right? Then I'll put it at 255, right? Not null, right? Make sure you put comma there, right? Then for this one too, I'll put comma, right? Then, and at the same time, instead of declaring the primary key, like the way we did in line 10, right? Like the way we did in this line 10, you can just put the primary key in the front. You just say primary key, right? Right. So you just put the primary key. So with this now, there's no need for you to declare the primary key at the end, just like the way we did in our last class. So there's no need for that. You've already declared the primary key, right? Then the third column there, I want it to be age. I want it to be age. Then age too, let it be integer, right? Let it be integer. Now, if it is clear, I want to identity means auto create. Yeah, auto create, then auto is auto create, but it will be increasing. Yeah, it will be increasing by 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on the way. Like my own now will be, it will be 1, 2, 3, right? If your own is 1, 3, it means 1, 3, 6, 9, 12, like that, right? Thank you guys. Right now, I think you guys were on the same page, right? So I will go ahead and then I will execute, right? I'll go ahead and execute. Right, so command completed successfully. So it means we've created the table. Now I can go to my database, that's liter underscore db, then refresh, right, so that I can see the table I created, right? Right, so you can see dbo underscore person, right, underscore person. Now, how do we know that that identity is going to work, is working, or is not working, or is going to work? It is when you now insert into the table, right? So let's see how I'm going to insert into the table now. Integer is number, integer is number, right? Integer is number, right? Is number. So insert into what table? Person, right? Person table. Now, this time around, I'm not going to write person's ID. I will only write person name, right, comma, then age. That's the only thing I'm going to write, because I'm not imputing the person's ID manually. It's auto create, like someone of you guys said, like it's auto create. So I'm not going to write it. Then the next column is value, right? So let's say the person's name is, let me look for a name on here, Paragon. I can see someone name is Paragon, right? Then let's say age 45. Now, let me run this line 45 and 46. Let me just run this line 45 and 46. Someone is asking that, is it a must to declare primary key? Yes, it's a must. You declare primary key, right? It's a must. And if peradventure you didn't declare it, it's not a problem. It is not a problem. But just note that you must have a table called primary key. Sorry, you must have a column called primary key. If you don't declare it, it is not a problem. If you don't declare it, it is not a problem. But in your mind, make sure you have a column called primary key, right? Now, I will execute this now. One row affected. Now, let's do select, right, from person, right? So you can see one. You can see one. Now, let's insert more. Let's insert more. So I'll just copy this, paste, 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 right? Then make sure you put comma so that I don't use the comma. Put comma, make sure you put your comma. Then the last one, you don't put comma. Then let's just change this age to 33, 88, 100, 22, 19, right? 49. Then let's change the name. Let's look for a name, Adebanjo, right? Let's look for another name. Olorunda. Let's look for another name. Mata. Let's look for another name. Sandy. Right. Let's look for another name. Jackson. Another name. Okunola. Right. So another name. Esther. Right. Now, so let's we have the one table that's already Paragon. So let's change that Paragon. Which name again? Aibu, right? Right. Now, so let me execute line 45 to 53. 45 to 53. So 8 rows affected. 8 rows affected, right? Then let me execute row 55. So you can see that it's automatically creating the person's ID, right? Automatically creating the person's ID. So that's how identity work. So in our next table, so this particular person's table, we don't actually need it. It's just for, but I will leave it so that by the time I'm sending the query to you, you can also practice too. So someone said, I must know this thing. Yes, it's a determination. You must know it. And that's the reason why you are here. But you don't need to hurry yourself, right? Just pay attention, right? Pay attention. Then by the time the query is sent to you, practice over and over. You have to practice over and over, and look for someone on this group that you can also connect with. That person that can look, or the person can always put you through. Please, I'm still repeating it. It is good to create a network. You can't do it alone. You can't learn data analysis alone. That's where maybe some of you guys are getting it wrong, that on your own you can learn it. No, you cannot learn it on your own. You have to create network, a group where you guys come together and practice, ask questions, right? So that's the way. I'm talking from experience. And if you guys follow that, you guys you just come and say thank you to me, right? So now I think we are good. So we can proceed. Right? So we don't actually need this one. It's just for me to explain what identity means, right? Now, what we need to do is that the first table we created, that's employee table that we created. So let's assume that the last person that joined the organization joined in 2020, right? If you run this, sorry, I'm done with person's table. So I want to go back to our real table so that you guys don't. I'm done. I've explained what identity. I use that table to explain what identity means. Now we want to go to. Can we use varchar for varchar? No, you can't use varchar. Yeah, you cannot use varchar because identity is always in integer. Yes, that because you cannot do auto increment for variable character. Let's say, for example, you are combining text and number together, right? You can the system cannot do auto increase. It's easy for the system to do auto increase for integer like 1, 2, 3, right? So you cannot do auto increment for variable character. Maybe in other programming language like maybe Python, I'm not sure. So let's go back to employee table now. Let's go back to, so okay, someone is asking, right? You can connect virtual. You don't need to connect physically. It is not, yeah, if you see someone that is living in your area, someone that is asking, someone living in Abuja, Yes, if you have someone that's living in Abuja, that's fine. You cannot. But in case you didn't see, you can connect virtual, right? You can connect virtual. You can. We have a lot of. You have a Google Meet. Some of you guys that I've connected with, I connected with you guys through what? Through Google Meet. Google Meet, right? Aha. Google Meet. Like someone I connected with yesterday. I think the person is in Akwa Ibom. So I told the person that, can we connect through Google Meet? And said yes. And at least we spent like 30 minutes together, right? I was able to solve a problem, right? So you can connect through virtual, right? You can connect virtual. Some of my group then, I didn't see them, at least I didn't know them. I have not seen them even till now, face to face, but we talk as if we've known ourselves for 20 years, right? So let's continue. Now, so let's say, for example, now, the last person that joined this organization joined in 2022, right? Joined in 2022. Then after 2022, the company has now hired maybe 5 more people, or the company has hired new people. Then you want to update your table. You want to update your table. Now, maybe you are the data analyst that's in charge of the database, or you are a database administrator, and the HR has now sent you the list of the new hire. Now, how do you update it? How do you update it, right? So this is how you're going to update it. Let's put it like that. So that's insert more record into employee table, right? Insert more record into employee table. So if you are following me, we have 9 record already. We have 9 staff in the company, in Ladies in Africa company. We have 9 employee, right? Now the company has now hired another set of people, but now you want to update, sorry, you want to insert, don't let me use the word update. You want to insert the new employee. Yeah, the word update is still good, but do so that you don't miss it, right? So you want to insert more record into the new table, right? So that's what we want to do now. So I have it already, so I just need to copy it, right? Like I told you guys. Right, let me just, where is it? Okay. So don't worry, at the end of the class, your query will be sent to you, right? Your query will be sent to you. So let's say, for example, now, these are the new set of people. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. So the company just employ another set of 9 staff. So why do you put, oh no, it's just like a note. Okay, that's a good question. Just like a note, you can see that it's in a green color. And if you check the note I sent to you, you always see it there. It's just like a note. By the time, and it's because of you guys, by the time you are writing your query, it will tell you what you are doing. Currently now, what we are doing now is that we are inserting more record into employee, so that when I send it to you, you will know what that query actually means, right? That's why I put that in there, right? And it is not executable. You cannot execute it, right? You cannot execute it, right? Now, so insert into employee. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to this line 59. I want you guys to pay attention to line 59. You can see that this line 59, I didn't declare the field names, the columns name. I didn't declare it. Normally I'm supposed to say insert into employee table, then open brackets on staff ID, first name, second name, date hire, sorry, date of birth and date hire, right? There's nothing like that. So it's like I'm showing you another way you can insert into your existing table, right? Another, okay, comment. Yeah, I think some of you guys are actually, like, some of you guys are good, right? Someone like Mary, thank you, Mary. It is called comment. Yes, thank you. You know, thank you. So at least I have assistants in this class, right? Thank you, Mary. So comment, right? Thank you. Now, so I don't want to declare those name, those field name. So I'll just say insert into that table's name, into the table's name. But when you are doing this, right, make sure you follow the order of your column. Make sure your staff ID come first, your first name follow, second name, gender, date of birth, and hire date. So make sure you follow like that, right? Now, so I'll just go ahead, I'll execute line 59 to 68. Okay, someone say, why did you use square brackets for DBO? Okay, that's a good question, right? Right. Let me remove it first. Right. With this now, it's still the same thing. Right. With this, it's still the same thing. But if I don't want to write employee table, I don't want to write it. Maybe I'm lazy. I don't want to write. I can drag the table. I can drag the employee from here. I can click on it. I will click on it and I will drag it like this to this place. I'll drag it. Now, so why square brackets is because it comes with DB, with the schema, right? So you have to now put the bracket, because if you don't put the bracket, it's going to return an error, right? It's going to return an error. So that's the essence of that square bracket there, because it's DBO dot employee. That's the schema dot employee. So that's the essence of that. But if you are not lazy like me, right, you can type it. You can type it. But most time, what I do, I'll just drag it. Because I don't have the time, right? I'll just drag it. So if you are dragging, that's the way it's going to show the schema and then the table name. The schema and then the table name, right? The schema and the table name, right? Now, let me run it now. So you can see 9 rows affected, right? So it means we've been able to insert the new set of staff into their existing table, right? Now, if I now select all from employee, you can see that I type the employee, right? What if I don't want to type the employee? I can still go back to this place and drag it like this. I don't want to type it. I will still drag, I can drag it, just comes to this place, click on it and drag it, right? Now, if I run this, right, so you can see 18 rows. So the new set of staff has now been what? Has now been inserted into the table. So we now have 18 record. You know, previously what we have was 9 record. Now we now have 18 record. So meaning the 9 new staff just joined and the table has now been updated. Okay, someone say recap. Okay. Where do you want me to recap? Oh, okay. Okay, let me explain how we insert more record into the table, right? Let me explain that. So the last record we have is 9 record. The last record, that's the table we created. And if you have created work on your own, at your layer time, you will see that we have nine records, right? We have 9 records. Now, the new staff just joined the organization, right? And the employee table needs to be updated. So we need to insert more record. So those people that just joined, we need to store their information in the database. We need to store their information in the database. So how do we do that? So you need to go to the existing table and write your SQL query that will update the existing table, right? So, and that's what we did here. And I said insert into table. So the difference here now is that this time around, I didn't specify, in our last class, right? When I wanted to insert into a table, I open brackets and I say staff ID, right, comma, first name, right, comma, last name, comma, what's the next? Gender, right, comma, date of birth, comma, and then hire date, right? Then I close the bracket. So this is what I show you guys in our last class, right? But this time around, I don't want to taking my time. I don't have the time to be writing all these things, right? And which possible that very soon you will not have time. You want to write your query, get your output, right? Because being a data analyst is not hardworking you are, it's how smart you are. It is not being hardworking. Oh, I spend 6 hours to write code. No, you can spend 6 hours to write code, and someone can spend the same code I spent 6 hours to write. Someone can spend 2 hours to write the code. So you have to be very, very smart, right? But though at the beginning like this, please take your time. At the beginning, take your time, get yourself acquainted with different syntax, different data type. But in the long run, right, you have to be very smart as well. So I don't want to write all this. So that's the reason why I just say insert into employee table, right? Then, so these are the new staff that just joined. So their staff ID has been created. We have their name, their gender, the date of birth, then the hire date, right? The hire date, right? So after that, once everything is okay, then you highlight it, then you execute it. And that's what we have done, right? Then we want to check if the table has now been updated. So that's why it takes us to the line 70, where we have select all from dbo.employee. You can decide to, like what I said here again. Sorry. So what I said here, I can type it. I can type employee, right? And you still give me my result. But like I said, I'm a lazy person. I don't want to type. I'll just come here, drag it to this place, then execute. You'll still give me my results, right? Please, sir, what does the color of the text matter? When you say the color of the text, I said if you write any query, I think someone answered this question, and I like the response. I saw it in our Telegram. The person answered this question. So all this colored one is a database syntax. It's a syntax that database recognize, right? So that's the reason why you see it, all those colors. Like the one, if you type anyone on, if I like all this Ayomide, all this variable character, and I said it when you declare your column name as a variable character, it has to be in apostrophe, right? And when you put an apostrophe, it will change to red. I think it's the same thing across Postgres, MySQL. It's the same thing, right? It's the same thing. So that's just the reason, right? So if you have the file before the class, you won't pay attention, right? If you have the file. So the best thing is to be sending the file after the class. The best thing in the class is to pay attention. Then after the class, you have the file, then you can practice at your own. So if you are practicing at the same time, you won't pay attention. Okay, so that's fine. Now, we've been able to create employee table, and we've inserted more records into employee table. So what is the next thing for us to do is now, let's go to the finance department. The employee table is for HR department. Now let's create another table in finance. And we know when you are creating a table in a finance, it has to do with salary table or payment table. Or you can call it salary or payment table. But let's call this one salary table. Now we want to create our second table. To create second table, right? Call it salary table, right? So that's the second one we want to create now, right? Second table. Excel is different from SQL. Yes, Excel is different from SQL. Excel and SQL can never be the same thing. It can never, right? So definitely Excel is going to be different from SQL, right? Yes. This is your database, right? A lot of organizations spend millions to have this, to store their data. So imagine bank, imagine the kind of a data banks pull on a daily basis. So where did they store? Do you want them to store that data in Excel? No. So it has to be in a database like this, and this is how you can access the database. So that's the reason why SQL is very, very important for everyone transitioning into data analysis, right? Let's even forget about bank that is controlling big data. What about small business? If I send Excel to you guys now to fill your data, I think you guys are over 2,000. So 2,000 data is not a small data. It's also close to big data, right? And you know that Excel, I think it was mentioned that Excel has a limit. Excel has a what? Has a limit. It has a limit, but database does not have a limit, right? You have your data in SQL, doesn't have a limit. Okay, so let's proceed now. Now we want to create second table called salary table. We call it salary table. Now, that table will have salary ID. We have salary ID, staff ID, then we have first name, second name, department, and salary, right? And salary. We call the table salary. The table name is what? Is salary. So let's proceed. Create table. Sorry. The table name is what? Salary. The table name is what? Is salary, right? The table name is salary, then open brackets. I think by now you guys should know how to create table, right? You guys is okay. Someone is asking, is it important to create schema on SQL? I answered this question in our last class. In SQL server that we are using, it's a default. You don't need to create it unless if you want to change it. And I can't show you guys how to change that now. It's when we get to advanced SQL, we can be talking about how you can change your schema. I can change this schema from DBO to my name. I can change it from DBO to Femi, right? I can change it from DBO to Alima or to Blessing crossover, right? So you can change it. But for now, let's just leave it the way it is. So SQL Server will create it. It's a default. But I told you for those of you that are in the class and you're also actually following me, in our last class, I think I show you in Postgres how I created schema before creating table. So these are just little difference. In Postgres, some of you that are using Postgres, you have to create schema in Postgres first. You have to create schema before you create table. If you don't create schema and you create your table, you will still be able to create your table, but your table will now go to a public. That's a schema, a default schema in post. Sorry, excuse me. That's a schema. That's a default schema in Postgres called public. So automatically it will go there, right? But if you create your schema, so you can always reference your schema with your table, right? Okay. Now, so create a table called salary. Then we have a salary ID. I'm going to put salary underscore ID. Salary underscore ID. This salary underscore ID, I want it to be auto increment. I want it to be auto increment. So I'm going to call it integer. That's the data type. Then identity, right? Then I want it to be 1 1, right? I think that's the best. 1 1. Then I want it to be 1 1. Then not null, right? I don't want to see blank. That's not null. Then comma. Then staff ID. Staff ID. Because some of you guys might still ask now, why are we having staff ID in salary table again? Yes, you should have a staff ID, because the salary table you want to create is for the same employee. That is the same employee in the organization, the same information that you have in your employee table, the same information you have in your employee table. So it's good to create your staff ID, and you will get to know why it is important to have salary ID in your employee table, sorry, in your salary table, right? When we get to how to join 2-3 tables together. Then, so I call this one variable character, right? Then I set it to 255, right? Then comma, then first name, variable character, right? Then last name, variable character. I think we are all familiar with this now. We should be seeing all this one to sing now. 255, right? Then department. Now, in the salary, we want to create department. So we want to know the department of each employee. So it's also good. So department, right? Department also will be variable character, right? It can also be, let me even use something else again so that we don't say variable character. No, that's what, because I'm used to it. Right? It's still the same thing. I think there's another one. Vaca. Yeah, I think that's variable character. I think mvaca. Let's use mvaca. I can't remember I think there are 2-3 like that. Let's use this one. Then I can also put something like this. Instead of putting fever, I can also put max. Max, like this. Right. I also put max like this. Okay, hold on first. I think this one doesn't have the max. Nice. Okay. I'll sort it out. Let's continue first. Okay, let's continue. Let me put it back. Then, so department. So what's next thing is salary now. Salary. Now, this salary, who can someone tell me what will be who can suggest for me the data type for salary? Who can suggest? MVACA is a data type. It's not variable character. It's also a data type. Who can? Okay, someone is saying integer. Someone is saying integer. Who can suggest? Okay, someone say float. Hey, yeah. Someone say float, right? Another one. Apart from float, string. No, it can't be string. No, I don't. Apart from float, someone say money. Yes, that's 3. Float, integer, money. Yes. Which one again? Which one again? Come on. Decimal. Oh, thank you. I want to use this decimal. This Victoria Badara, right? Yeah, decimal. I want to use decimal. That's a reason I want to use decimal, right? We still use floats, maybe in another table, right? But for this one, I also use decimal. So there's a reason for that, right? So I'm going to use decimal, right? Then now, so I'm going to do something. I don't know if someone is going to understand this. Now I put decimal, then in front of decimal, I now put into brackets 10, 3. I don't know if someone has an idea of why did I put 10, then 3. 10, 3 in a bracket. Right? Yeah, someone say big int. Yes, you can also use big int. Yes. Maybe by the time we'll get to how to import data into SQL. Yeah, we're talking about big int, small int, tiny int, like that. Okay, someone saying 10,000, 10 figures in 3 decimal places. Yes, I think I will go with Grace Akinde. Yeah, 10 number to 3 decimal places. Fine. Yeah, 10 number to 10 digit to 3 decimal. You are. Yeah, thank you. I think I like that. I like that spirit. Yes, 10. So let me now explain it now. The reason why you guys have already answered it, right? But let me explain something here. So decimal data type is designed to store exact numeric value, right? So it's stored to store exact numeric value, right? So that numeric value, it has two, can I call it parameter or 2 features? So we call it precision and scale. So this 10 is precision, right? Let me put it in the front. The 10 right? So that when I'm saying it to you, you can understand it. The 10 is precision, right? Then the 3 is scale, right? The 3 is scale, right? So these are the things that you can do. For this now, as a data analyst, you should determine this by yourself. It's not a standard. I'm using 10 and 3. It's not a standard. You can change it to whatever precision and scale by yourself, right? So the precision refers to the total number of digits. So that's 10. The total number of the digits in a number. That's what the precision means. Then Y3 means what? The number of digits to the right of the decimal. I want it to be in 3 decimal places. 3 decimal places. That's just what I want to do. And that's why I'm at that 10. So in your own case, you can put 5, you can put 3, you can put whatever, you can put anything, right? Okay. Now, right? So this time out here, I'll close the bracket. I'm done. I'll close the bracket. Now, who can tell me among you guys, staff ID here is a what? Is a key. But what is the name of that key? Staff ID. Staff ID. Sorry, yeah. Staff ID here foreign key. Wow, God, thank you. Zainab, thank you. Amuta, thank you. Yeah, foreign key. You guys are follow. You guys are follow. I like that spirit. Ayodeji, Lois, thank you. It's a foreign key. Yes, foreign key. I've said it. We have it in the employee table. Employee table, because employee table is our first table, is a primary key. So if I have it in any other table, it becomes foreign key. Thank you. Okay, now we've been able to write the query that will create salary table for us. So I'll just go ahead and I'll execute. I'll go ahead and execute. Okay, so then before I'll go ahead and execute, I will want us guys to go on a break. Let's go on a break. All right, let's go on a break. This is 8:15. So let's go just 10 minutes break, 10 minutes. So by 8:25, we'll come back, right? By 8:25, we'll come back for our break, right? By 8:25, we'll come back. Thank you, guys. salary. Sorry, are we together? Right. Are we together? Can someone say cannot see my screen? Right. So are we together? The salary table has been created. Are we on the same page? I want to get you guys feedback so that before we proceed. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, we are together. Okay, now the salary table has been created. So what is the next thing to do? Right? The next thing to do is to insert record into salary table. Insert record into salary table. So this one, I'm going to copy it, then I'll paste here, right? Okay. Okay, so before I paste that, so let me put the comment. So the comment is what? Insert record into salary table, right? Insert record into salary table. So that's the next thing we want to do. Insert record into salary table, right? So that's the next thing, right? So, and I told you, you can just you write your insert into which table? Salary table, right? I don't know. Some of you guys might have been noticing this IntelliSense. They call it IntelliSense in SQL. I think it also have it in Excel, right? So it prompts you when you want to get certain pictures, right? It will suggest for you. We call it intelligence. It will suggest for you. It's just for you to use your tab key and click on it, right? I want to get the salary, right? So it's already suggesting salary table for me. So you can also use that as well. If you have seen it, you can also use it. Now insert into salary, then bracket open, bracket open. Now, since we have salary ID as an identity, right? So we don't need to repeat salary ID here, right? So we're going to just start with what? With staff ID. Staff ID, right? We're going to start with staff ID, then followed by first name, right? Second name, right? Is it second name? Okay, last name. We use last name, right? Then, then we have department, right? Then we also have what? Salary, right? Then you close your bracket, close your brackets. So like I said, so I have the table already that has been created. So I'll just paste it, right? So this is the table. I can just remove this, right? So insert into salary. So staff ID, first name, second name. Okay, I think I use last name. So I'm going to change it to last name, right? Then department. So Okay, yeah. Sorry, thank you. I think you guys, some you guys are following, right? Right. I've corrected that. Yes, you can see that SQL is already pointing my attention to it. That's invalid column name, invalid column name, right? Invalid column name, right? Thank you. Right now, so if I execute, so let's look at it now. Let's look at the line 87. Then I will execute line 87. Then I will execute. So value. Then this staff ID, name, the department. This person is in information department. Then look at the salary. The salary is 45,000. Then in this one is 2 decimal. Now, if I execute this line 1, right? Since we declare our decimal place to be 3, so automatically 0 will be added to this, to the front of that 5. A 0 will be what? Will be added. Then if you look at line 88, right? This person, Okore Mercy, is in accounting department, right? And look at the salary, 500,000, 99,999. So by the time we execute, so it's going to approximate to 3 decimal places, right? To 3 decimal places. Like if you put 10, 100 digits, since we've declared the 3 as a 3 decimal places, right? It's going to approximate it. Like this line 89, right? So you're going to approximate it to the nearest figure. So it's going to become 934. Instead of 933, it's going to become 934. I think these are the basic things that we know, right? Right. So I think we are good. So we go ahead and insert into salary, right? 9 rows affected. So let's check, right? So you can see 9 rows affected, right? 9 rows affected. Now 9 rows affected. So what's the next thing to do? Next thing to do now is to, also update. We want to insert more record. We want to insert what? More record. 9 record, then we have other record that we need to insert into salary, right? So we just come here, insert, just like the way we insert more records into employee. So we're going to use that the same format. Insert into, I'll just drag salary to this place, right? That's fine. Then go to here, I have the query here. Sorry, I think do I have it here? Okay, I don't have it here. Okay. Okay, sorry guys. I need to get it. Let's see if I have it. My notepad. Okay. Okay. So, okay, I think so. It's the same information that we have here, right? So insert more record. So this is the more record we want to insert, right? So just copy this, right? Then we'll put it here, right? Okay. So that's the same record, the same number of records that we updated with, right? So that's what we're going to insert to this place, right? Now let's execute. Okay, as an explicit value identity. When it yeah, no, right? It's supposed to be fine. Do you want us to declare that? Right. So that's error, right? Let me quickly look at the error. Normal thing you will get. Definitely when you execute a query, definitely you're going to get, okay, please come again. right? Getting syntax error. Yeah, I'm getting syntax error. Yes, but someone said I should come again. So what we are doing currently now is that we've created salary table, right? And we have 9 record in the salary table, right? Now we want to update, we want to update the salary table with new record. So, but if you check, now we need to come back here and put salary, right? We need to come here and add salary. I think that's one of the error, right? I just like that's an oversight. So I need to now put salary. We need to change some things here. The same information, but this time I'm going to change from we have names, right? But we don't have gender. So what we have in place of gender is department. So I'm going to change this. So let's say, for example, the person is in human resources. Human resources, right? I'm going to type this. I'm going to be very, very fast here now, right? Then here, department, then salary, right? So let's say, for example, putting any this, right? Then dots, right? Yeah. Then I'm going to come to this place. Let's say the person is in account department, right? Then I'm going to salary, right? Let's say just put any figure, right? Then the same thing comes to this place. The person is in sales and marketing, right? I'm sorry. Right, then salary, okay. Then for this person is in logistic department. Yes, that's what I'm correcting. Yeah, that's an oversight, right? Thank you guys. I think I love that. Then so let's salary, let's say 1 million, right? Then this one is in information tech, right? So this is one of the reasons why I always want to write the code, that just bring the code to the class. What salary dot this, right? Then this thing plenty, right? Account. Let's just picking it like that, right? I'm using that as a guide, most especially for you guys, right? As a guide. And it's also good for you too, right? It's also good. If you are sending a code to me now, if you put comment, I will understand your code better instead of calling you, right? I'll not be able to. Yes. Okay. Right. I think let's just stop here because of time. Right. So we want to insert this record into salary, right? This just little record, we want to insert it into salary. So let's execute. Right, 7 rows affected. So we have 9 record. Now we are updating the record with 7 record. Then let's select to see how many do we have. Right, so we now have 16. Right, so we now have what? We now have 16 record. right? Okay. So you can, so okay, this manual process takes time. You type 100,000 as against 1 million. You let's just continue, right? Let's just continue, right? Just to show the salary, right? Now, do we have any question? Right? So let's see. I'm gonna okay, right? Aha. So this is the next thing we want to do. Okay. Now let's go into some SQL functions like sum, count, like max, minimum, right? Average, right? Now let's start with this, right? Oh, sorry, see where I'm putting it. Right? Okay. Now, so we've been able to create employee table and salary table. So let's do some analysis. Let's do some what? Some analysis. Now, let's calculate the sum of the salary. Let's calculate what? The sum of the salary. Just say select sum, then close bracket. So when you are doing sum, in data, we have qualitative data and quantitative data, right? Qualitative data and quantitative data. Quantitative data are the data that can be aggregated, So why qualitative data are the data that cannot be aggregated. So such type of a data, you can only do counts on them, like name, like staff ID, it can be aggregated, right? Staff ID cannot be aggregated, or last name cannot be aggregated. Let me come again. So we have two types of data. So we have qualitative data and we have quantitative data, right? Qualitative data and quantitative data. So when I said quantitative data are the data that can be aggregated, like revenue, sales, unit cost, total cost. These are the type of data that can be aggregated. Then qualitative data are data that cannot be, you can't aggregate them, you can't perform any mathematical calculation on them, like sum, uh, right? Or minimum or maximum, right? But the only thing you can do on them is what? Count, like first name, staff ID, department, right? So you can only count. I want to count the number of staff. You cannot say I want to sum the staff, right? So that's the difference between the two, right? So now, so I say select, then sum. So I'm going to sum the total salary, right? From which table? From salary table, right? From salary table. So I want to sum the total salary. That's all the record here. I want to sum them together. So I'll come here, I will execute. So this is the total salary. Yeah, I've told you now. We've not gotten to how to save it. I will show you how to save that. Please pay attention, right? Pay attention to what we are currently doing now. How to save file? Yes, when we still have time, right? Right. So what query 11 is saying is that we want to sum the salary, the total salary. We want to sum it together. So I'm going to use the word sum. That's the word, the syntax we're going to use to sum salary from the table salary, right? Now, but if you see the output, you will see no column names, no column name, no column name. So if I send this now, for instance, now if I send this to to Latifat, if I send this thing to Latifat, right, it will not understand. Or you say, what is this? Right? Because it is not labeled. There's no column name, there's no field name. It is not labeled. So that is where the word called alias in SQL. Yeah, we've not gotten to alias, right? But at least I will introduce alias right now. That's where the alias now comes in. So I want to make sure that by the time I execute this, it's returning output for me. I want to name it as whatever the name I'm given, right? I don't want to name it as column name or no column name. So if I'm sending it to someone, the person will understand the figure I'm sending, right? So if I send this now, the person will not understand what value is this. Is it average? Is it sum? Right? Is it maximum? Is it minimum? The person will not understand, right? But if I come here, I said select sum from salary as total salary. Total salary from. Now, if I execute again, then you're going to see, yeah. So if I send it to you, to anyone, you know, oh, this is the total salary for the ladies in tech Africa company. Are you guys following, right? So this is the total salary. So you understand from the previous one that is showing no column name. No column name. So this as is alias, right? I know alias just like, let's say, I used to call it like AK, like a temporary name. Like a temporary, alias is a temporary name given to your column name in SQL. It's a temporary name given to your column name in SQL. That's what alias means, right? Are we cool? Right, okay, yes, okay, thank you. The salary in the bracket indicates column name, right? Yes, yes, thank you. Yes, that's what's the name? Justina. Yeah, thank you. That's the column name. I think some of you guys I like the spirit, right? Now let's do average salary. It's still the same line of code, right? Just copy the code, paste the code, then change this to average. Right? Change this to average. Then we'll call this one, instead of total salary, average salary. Right? Average salary. Then if you run this, so this is the average salary. You can run the two together. The one at the top is total salary, while the one below is average salary. Right? The first one is total salary. The one at the bottom is average salary. Then let's do count. Let's do count. Now, who can tell me, who can suggest or who can give us what column should we use to do count? Or on what column can we carry out counts? Right? Oh, it's okay, you're fast. Okay. Okay, so the line 110, what we're trying to do in line 110 is to get the total salary, right? To get the total salary. Then line 112, to get the average salary. Someone say any column. When you say any columns, can we do count on salary? Department. Someone says department. Someone says department staff ID. Yeah, thank you. Let's use either department or staff ID, right? Right, staff ID, right? You can't just say any column. So it means you don't want us to do it on salary. Okay, so let's do the same thing, the same line of code, right? Then change this one to count, right? Then change this one to staff ID. Then let's do call it employee count. employee count. But this time around, let's use from employee table. Since we have two tables now, let's take it from employee table. Yes, employee table, right? So let's execute. You see 18, right? That's from employee. Now, if you can't, if do the same thing, right, from salary table, right? Like we're not going to get the same number. Yes, we cannot get the same number, right? Because I think in salary we have 16 record. I think this is 16 record. But let's do that. 16, right? Yeah, I'm right. 16. 16. So it means there are some staff, there are two staff that their record, that we have their record in employee, but we don't have their record in salary table, right? It's possible like that. So people like that, maybe at the end of the day, they will not get salary. They won't get salary, right? Or okay, someone say can just put as a number of employee, right? It's fine. Number of employee, right? Right. Thank you. Number of employee, right? So you can just say like that, number of employee. So let's execute, right? So whoever you are sending it to will see that, oh, this is number of employee, right? Trying to count the number of employee, right? Yeah, you got 16, right? Yeah, that's one. The one for salary, yeah, we have 16. Then one for employee, we have 18, right? So the one for salary, we have 16, but the one for employee, we have 18. We have 18, right? Okay. Now let's do updates. Let's do updates. Let's use the word update. Right? Okay. For Lisa. Okay, thank you. Right. Now, let me write updates, employee, sorry, salary. Right, okay. 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 Now, let's say for example, now let me quickly. I think our time is we have 3 minutes. Let's see if we can use that 3 minutes to quickly do this, right? So let's say for example, let me open the. Let's check the employee. Sorry, the salary. I want if the best among, right? Let's say for example, this person, this staff, this of the first staff, Olakun, the salary is 45,000 naira, sorry, $45,000 monthly, right? $45,000 monthly. And maybe by virtue of his performance, he has been promoted. And once you are promoted, your salary will be top up, right? Salary will be increased, right? The salary has now been increased. So we want to update the salary in the database to a new database. That's what we want to do. We want to update the salary now. Let's say, for example, he earns 45,000. And now that he has been promoted now, maybe he now earns like 70,000. So we want to update. So how do we do that? How do we do that? right? So that's what we want to do. Now, so I'll say set salary to 70,000, let's say 70,599 dot this, right? Now, who can tell me if I execute, we are rounding up now. If I execute line 120, 121, what will be the output? I want a fast finger, right? If I execute line 120, 121, update salary, set salary to this, what will happen? Okay, I'm waiting. I want someone to tell me. All salary will be updated. Wow. Simisola. Good. Thank you. All the salary will be updated to this. Right? Will be updated. Thank you. So one more question, right? Is that now for me to be able to update this person, Anyo Olakunle, that's in a department, that is in this department, right? Which column do you think I can use so that it doesn't affect others? Right? Right, okay. Yeah, I said, okay, yeah, let's say where, right? Thank you, guys. Yeah, sorry. Where ahead. So who can tell me where's, okay, staff ID. Thank you. Who is that? Let me call the name. You guys have, no, yes. Where staff ID, right, is equals to this AB. Remember to put it in apostrophe 401. Right. Now, if I now execute this, right? If I execute this, right? So it means only Olakunle will be what? Will be affected, right? Yeah. So let's execute. Yeah, one row has been affected. Now let's go back and run our query salary. So you can see that the salary has been updated, right? The salary has been what? Updated. This is how update syntax or is being used, right? This is how it is being used, right? Thank you. So if you want to update, so make sure always use a unique identifier like staff ID so that you don't like make mistake. Now, let me do something, right? Right. I think our time, I won't be able so that you guys can. Okay, I think we can stop here so that I don't take your time, right? Let's stop here. So the query for today, I'm going to put it together. So I'm just update the notepad I sent to you. Is that the same notepad? I will just add this one to it, then I'll send it to you. Now, how do you save? How do you save now? You can see that I have how many line of queries? Over 100, right? Over 100. I want to save it. I want to save it now. So look, please pay attention. You still go to file. Go to file. You will see, like me, I've saved it already. But yours that you have not saved it, it will be different, right? It will be different. You that you have not saved it, but because I have saved it, right? I only just update it. Now I'll come here. See, click on the one save as so that you can be able to what? To be able to name it. Save as so that you can be able to what? To be able to name it, right? I'll click on it. Then give it any name you want to give it, right? Just name it and click save. Automatically on SQL Server will create a default folder for you. You don't need to create the folder. It will create the folder for you. I'm going to show you now after I created, this has been created, right? So just name it. name it, right? Like my own, I name it as liter_db query, right? I'll click save. But because I've saved it already, so it's asking me to update or I want to replace, I'll just click yes. But your case might be different, right? I'll just say update. Now, but make sure after you save it, make sure there's a green line. There's a green line that show like this, meaning it has been saved. So if you cannot see this green line, it has not been saved, right? It has not been saved. Then if you want to check if it has been saved as well, go to your file explorer, go to documents. It's always in document, not in your download. It's always in documents. Go to your document. Then from the document, you can see, from document, you will see SQL Server Management Studio. SQL Server Management Studio, you will see it. You see that folder. Then click on that folder. You will now see, like me, I have a lot of SQL query here, right? That I've saved, right? But you will see it like you can see my own liter_db query, right? So that the next time you want to open your system, you just go to your, I think I show you to you guys. You just go to your, open your studio, right? Go to file, then from the file, go to open, then from open, you will see file. Just click on it. It will take you to where maybe our next class, I will show you how to do that. Make sure you save, then we are good, right? Thank you, everyone. Can you edit after saving? Yes, after saving, you can see edit. You can see add many queries. You can see add, right? Can the file be edited after saving? Yes, right? Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you for today. Let's keep learning. Let's keep learning. For some of you that is still having issue installing, let's try if I can. Okay? I can attend to some of you guys tomorrow. And like I said, please create a group on this channel. Create a group, connect to yourself, assist one another, right? Thank you.